So our regular board meeting will be recorded and uploaded to our district website. The definitive documentation and decisions of the board are documented in our meetings. Any use of electronic devices such as a computer or cell phone during the course of the meeting is related to the business of the meeting. And the core values that guide the work of our school district are respect, compassion, honesty, responsibility, and relationships. We're going to call our meeting to order at 5:34 and acknowledge that today's meeting is taking place on traditional territory of Demesa and Treaty 8. First item is additions to the agenda. Could I please have a mover and seconder? Moved by Bill, seconded by Thomas. I do have two additions under 10.1 BCSTA requests of districts. With those additions, can I call the question in, please? All in favor?
Yes, that's.
There's two BCSTA. All right, so we're excited tonight to have a presentation or a delegation from Northern BC Science Fair. So I'm going to turn it over to our guests to introduce themselves and share with us.
Excellent, thank you very much. So we are with the Northeastern British Columbia Regional Science Fair. We cover the area of Fort St. John, School District 60, Dawson Creek in School District 59, and Fort Nelson, School District 61. So as such, we always enjoy coming to the board meetings and talking about our experience and talking about everything. With us today is myself, co-chair of the Northeastern Regional Science Fair, Bradley Brown. We have Emily, who is a silver medal finalist at the Canada-wide 2024 Ottawa, and Ross Lau, who has judged and sits as the treasurer on the committee. So we'll start with a presentation from Emily.
Should I go?
Yeah, you could go to your posters if you want to present from your posters or talk about your experience.
Sure. Hi, my name is Emily Minot. I'm 13 years old and I attend Dr. Kearney Middle School. So last June, I attended the Canada-wide Science Fair in Ottawa, and it was such an amazing experience. I presented my project, which is Can Teachers Differentiate AI Writing from Student Writing, which won a silver medal. I basically tested, I had essays, I had real essays, AI essays, and it's a whole series of complicated stuff. I had teachers like read them and then try to tell whether they were AI written or student written. So I had, I think, 9 or 10 teachers who were reading these essays actually, and then I had 36 essays that were read. So while I was at Science Fair, I met a lot of people and I had really great opportunities that were kind of given to me. I met actually a professor at the University of Toronto, and she actually invited me to start taking one of her classes, which it is a college level class that we meet every single Sunday. And in that, we talk about current issues in the world and current political and environmental conflicts that are happening. I also have started a mentorship for students in Canada for Science Fair. And I've been doing this I just started it 3 weeks ago. So we meet every week on Saturdays. And me and another boy who is also part of that Sunday meeting that we go to. It's called Bio Endeavor. That's the name of the nonprofit. We actually created this course, this program, and now every Saturday we teach this class to students grade 7 to 12. And these students are not just from Canada, but also the US and the UK. So I think we had over 20, somewhere closer to 30 registrants, and we just started it 3 weeks ago. So while I was at Science Fair, it was genuinely a really great experience there. as I said, I got to meet a lot of people, but I also learned a lot. It was really nice being surrounded by people who share the same interests as me and getting to see all the amazing work that was done. People were looking at my work, I was looking at their presentations, and it was really just such an amazing experience there. So I really loved it, and I think that this is a very important thing for students to be able to experience, and I think that we should have that opportunity available to any student in the district that wants it, because I think that this is something that's very important, and I feel really strongly that all kids and all students should be provided this opportunity to be able to go to this national fair and present there and learn all these new things and get to experience so many different joys. So thank you.
Thank you, Emily. So I will take a moment to talk. I've been working with the science fair for about 3 years now. I am passionate about science and what we can do when we are clear in our communication about science and how it guides our direction, whether it's the school district or whether it's the government. I had the opportunity to go with Emily, and I had the opportunity to help organize the 2023 fair that happened at North Peace. Emily received so many opportunities at the Canada-wide fair, but we also get people receiving opportunities from even our regional fair. We have members from industry, members of the community come in, and they build those connections with the students and help students build their projects and take their projects even further. As a teacher, it is great to be able to have this opportunity to share and provide these opportunities for students in School District 60. And last year, unfortunately, we didn't have enough on the committee or enough people to help run the committee that we didn't have an in-person regional fair. So luckily, the national or Canada Science, Youth Science Canada reached out to us about a couple who had registered and wanted us to judge their projects to see if they were worthy to go to the Canada-wide Science Fair. And we did, and we took 2 students last year to Canada-wide Science Fair with us. And we were excited to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ross will now share his experience, his insights.
Thanks, Randy. Thanks to the board. And my name is Ross, and I'm a professional engineer, been living in this region, working in this region for many, many years. And my kid was born and raised in Fort St. John, as being a proud School District 60 student from elementary all the way to high school now. So I've been involved in the science fairs since before pandemic, been judging and help fundraising. It's such a rewarding experience whenever we have such a direct connect with the promising youth and students. Particularly we see some students through this science fair, the progression they made when they got to the finals, more senior grades, and their project is top notch. And quality-wise, and from the STEM perspective, from engineering perspective, from science and hypotheses, their proofs, evidence, conclusions, which is the best thing for us as volunteers serving the community to see progression. And so this year I'm taking the job, and thanks to Randy for the invite to sit on the board, help fundraising. So I guess that's partly another purpose we're here as well. We've been receiving continued support from the School District 60, and so we wish we can have this continued support from the board. Most of the funding for us is to Harvard to send the students to the national competition, which probably costs most of the money. We have generous industry sponsors for sure, but school district has always supported us through the last 2 decades, and we wish to have this continuous support from the board.
Super. Thank you.
That's the speech. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now open it to questions, if you have any questions.
Thomas?
Well, thank you for sharing. Sorry I couldn't be there in person today. But question for the young lady. Did you find out what the identifying pieces are that flagged the teachers to say, hey, this is AI? Or like, did they give you any insight into how they identified it or how AI identified it?
So basically they told me that, so my experiment, it was done anonymously, so they didn't have any prior knowledge of who wrote the essay. However, they said that usually when they are reading students' essays, they look at previous work that student has written and see if it aligns, see if the essay and the writing style actually matches up. But because my experiment had to be done anonymously for students and teachers' safety and, all that, they weren't able to actually see previous work. However, with the project I'm doing this year, I will definitely be trying to include that. However, besides that, they mainly just looked at the vocabulary that was used in the actual essay and how it was written, and just repetition of words and repetition of certain phrases. That's really what they said helped them figure it out.
So last year, you were one of the people that reached out to Science Canada and wanted to go to Science Fair. So incredible initiative on your part. Bill?
So the way it worked is there's a regional competition and then a zone or something, or regional and then provincial?
Regional and then Canada-wide. So we have 5 seats that we can fill at the regional level to send to Canada-wide Science Fair. In 2023, we sent 4 projects. 3 of them that have competed definitely in previous science fairs and regional science fairs.
So how did you do in the regional one?
So last year we didn't have a regional one.
Sorry, Emily?
We didn't have originals last year.
Oh, I thought for this. Okay, I thought it was this
Yeah.
year. Okay.
This year, the regional science fair is April 3rd. Yeah, and we plan to have public viewing at probably around 3:00. And it's at Northeast Secondary School. So there'll be a separate entrance for public viewing.
Yeah, all the charging and the bylaws is inherited from National Science Fair Committee's bylaw, and we follow all the rules and charging, particularly if there's biometric information involved, right? There's consent form, and the regional fair is always say the elementary school and middle school is probably 2 separate categories for the juniors and the intermediate.
Yeah. So the 5 that can go to the Canada-wide Science Fair are from grades 7 to 12. And then we also hold it for elementary. So
So because we didn't have a regional fair last year, and you said you sent 4
well, that was 2023.
in 2023.
Last year we sent 2.
You sent 2.
And it was 2 that reached out to U Science Canada.
Okay.
And then they contact the remaining committee. We only had 2, maybe 3
So
of us active.
there was only 2 that had reached out to the.
Yeah.
Oh, that was my question, was, did they both get to go?
And also, Brad mentioned that the 2023, the team we sent actually is a progression from the junior years, and they've been to before, and the progress at such a high level. So they won both fairly high medals
Yeah,
from
we had a
national
silver medalist and a bronze medalist in the 2023.
on the national level, so which is from such a small region, and which is the thing we should be all proud of.
Oh, we should be doing now, sorry.
So right now we have 7 members. For some reason, it used to be mostly teachers or secretaries, mostly employees in School District 60, but we've reached out more, like Ross from working as a professional engineer. We have Andy Ambo helping us as the judging chair, and he works at the college. We have someone else working at Tourmaline helping us organize events. So right now, 7, so a little on the light side, and it's always, it would be nice to get some from School District 59, so we're sending out information.
To Emily, I find it impressive, like Helen said, did your initiative, because obviously you, last year, because there was no regional fair, you still went ahead. Are you participating this year in the?
Yes, I would love to this year again.
You have a bit broader peer too. And your mentorship program that you do Saturday, you said you had like 20 sign up.
Yes, over 20.
So do they, is that, it's fairly new, but is it quite steady? Do they?
Yes.
Awesome.
Are you zooming for that?
Yes, because it's so from all over Canada and the US and UK. It's
Well, the giving back.
I like your, you must have been collecting pins at all the.
So we have always supported in kind, and we will continue to do so. Not sure that we get to conscript to your committee, but we know it's out there, and if you're looking for volunteers and things like that, it is something we could conceivably consider putting in newsletters and on our district website and things like that.
So I was reading on, what was it, on the PRN and under events, I was bringing it up real quick. Where was I reading it? Under programs. It would be nice to be kind of under programs. I see we have Project Heavy Duty, and I know that it's not just strictly School District 60, but it's School District 60, School District 61, and School District 59. It would be nice to be able to have someone come and be like, oh, what programs? Oh, science fair, and be able to click into the website from school board.
Stephen,
Yeah, and we can do some follow-up perhaps
Yes.
after we can, and the board is endorsing this
Yes.
and supporting it. I can help with any communication around disseminating the information, of course, to the schools. It sounds like you've already done the legwork of booking the North Beach Gym, but any communication, we can support that. When the time comes for the trips and support, we try to support in terms of releasing teachers to attend, and even sometimes the TTOC costs. But of course, that depends on the availability of TTOC.
Yes.
But generally speaking, and I think as the board knows, this is a third-party society.
Yes, it is.
It's not a district.
No, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, so we don't generally, here is our district programs.
Yes.
I can recall when the fair actually used to alternate between Fort St. John and Dawson Creek, for example.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to support and promote, for example, more people to join the committee, and any communication and in-kind logistical support that you need, we can make happen.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for the time.
Is that, just curious, but is that where it stops at Canadians? Is there like a?
So we
Competition.
are BC side of east side of the Rockies.
Oh, I mean, like, there's a Canadians,
Oh,
And then is there
There
like
are
any
international fairs that students can attend. There's the top like 4 or 5 projects that Canada-wide sends to Taiwan. They reach out, Emily.
There are students from Canada-wide Science Fair who are able to participate in ISEF, which is the International Science and Engineering Fair. And that is held in usually America, I believe. And that is just the top projects, and I believe it's grade 10 and up. So there is like a past Canada-wide Science Fair.
curious?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you.
coming.
Thank you for giving us time.
You betcha. Thanks for your leadership on it.
Thank you very much for sharing.
And Stephen,
Yes.
can you share the pictures you took with us?
So.
Or should I just quickly try and get a picture?
There's an online board, the project. They're online.
I'll hold it.
I think I need to give her my name.
I'm one of those technically challenged.
It's fair project.
So
They use
they're wide projects.
Uh,
This is all this light is reflecting off.
You betcha. We'll see you around. Thanks again.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks, guys.
Are you still soldering too?
Oh, no, I didn't get anything. Okay.
Everyone's just back, I guess.
Yeah, so we'll wrap both of them. We need best to do it.
Oh, just looking for.
There's.
Oh, and then pick one direction.
Yeah. I'm not the world's fastest reader. And they showed me how we can find it online. Oh, to find it online? Well,
I can show.
I'm not one of those great online people anymore. Okay, great, thank you.
Really nice to get you're able to proceed after and given our last, timely topic.
It's fellowship too. We-
Roll up.
We're very
I'm gonna
proud.
start with you
Absolutely.
for engagement and celebration.
Sorry, could you say that again, Helen? I couldn't hear you.
Going to start with you for engagement and celebration.
Oh, fantastic. Big thing was BCPC. Got to get out there and learn a lot about that. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later on.
Thank you. Trustee Campbell.
Okay, I attended the NIV in Prince George along with other trustees. I've been to a few of my PAC meetings, and I went to a couple elementary basketball games and practices. And then I attended the boarded dance this last Friday. I was following the Taylor reading, Rocket reading. That was interesting to see the kids, and I went in and talked to a few of them about their home reading. At the Bell Donald PAC meeting, they talked about how the PAC was going to put on another supper for the WI women from Bell Donald, because they do so much and donate so much money towards the schools. They donate to the Taylor School, the Bell Donald School, and also the Freedom Thinkers. And so Bell Donald is going to put on a dinner for them. And they were quite excited about having the funding for their new playground. And I had a couple of calls actually saying that they were glad that we didn't run the buses when it was so cold.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Right, so trustee Gillis will be joining us a little bit later, so we'll try and catch up with her. Vice Chair Snow.
All right, so NIMD down in Prince George. While I was there, I went to an elementary school, Ron Brandt, had a wonderful visit. While I was there also, the Friday night, I went over and to the restaurant and had appies with basketball coaches, a nice little introduction and the new athletic director. Helen's new friend. I've done some school visits. I went to Central Play, seen some basketball games, and I went to the advance here. Keeping kind of busy.
Cute. Trustee Scott Marguerite sends his regrets tonight. Trustee Lehman.
I believe since the last board meeting, there was another bargaining session. We wrapped up. I attended a DPAC and a SPAC meeting. We had, together with Tom, was in Vancouver at the BCPC AGM. Attended the NIB in Prince George, Clearview ACC meeting as well. I guess Clearview won the bridge building contest. Yay! I think we're pretty excited about that. I attended the advance here on Friday as well, the full day, and it was a good day, lots of information. And maybe just while we're doing this, to fellow trustees, if they've, because there had been a question about triggering a by-election on the school board with me running for regional director, area B, and it will not trigger a by-election because I have to, after careful consideration, decided I could do both for the time being. So.
Well, I thought we'd take a minute and show your trustee group in action at NIB. Quite honestly, the NIB meeting in Prince George would not have run without all the trustees and our district staff that were present. I get to be the president for another year. So this is some of us at work. And one of the highlights of our NIB forum that is part of our advocacy is the MLA forum. And you see our table of hardworking trustees with Kyle Giddens, who was our only MLA that attended in person. And if we look at the next slide, there he is. There's our trustees. And the next one, you can see, I don't think I could do the job that Chad Anderson does of moderating and enjoying and bringing in. So you see our local MLA, Jordan Keeley, who joined us there by Zoom, and Lauren Dirksen. Lauren Dirksen is one of 2 experienced MLAs for the NIB region. 6 of the MLAs are new, and so the concept of the forum was new to them. But certainly in our work at NIB, we started to establish those relationships and took the time to talk a little bit about what the role of a trustee is. Would have loved more there, MLAs, but it seemed like we had the commitment of 6, and then as things happened for individuals, it kind of dwindled away a little bit, but it was a good start. And then this was a very exciting event at Advance. On Friday, we had a kindergarten class from Charlie Lake enter, and they were spreading cheer and kindness throughout the community. And not only did they bring us treats, I know that they visited the Women's Resource Center. So we have a thank you card that we will make sure they get. And given our lovely weather, I have a couple of in-day games for their classroom, with the message going to be that acts of kindness make the world better, and you never know when kindness will be returned to you, because they weren't really looking. And there was one poor little boy that didn't hand us anything. He started to cry, but hopefully I'll find him and talk to him again. So that's some of what I've been doing. I did attend the January DPAC SUPAC meeting. Presbyterian grad was a very amazing event. We had 16 students graduate out there. In the wait between the graduation ceremony and dinner, the school secretary went and got the binder of pictures, and we looked at the group that was graduating in kindergarten, and we're quite excited to see that they only appeared to have lost one individual along the way. So those 16 stayed all the way through. On your behalf, I attended a Good Neighbors meeting. I did get to watch some North Peace basketball when we were in Prince George. And I finally coincided with a free evening to catch up with Aries Pack. So I did that. And then, of course, board advance on Friday. So there you go. There we are. Yeah.
With the MLAs there that you showed, the one that was in person, Kyle.
Yeah.
I went over and thanked him afterwards when he was done, and he was commenting that he was going to let the rest of them know what they missed, and he said he very much enjoyed it.
Well, that's good. And
So hopefully he was being sincere.
well, the kind of follow-up that you saw related to advance is still on my work plate for this week. And I will reach out to the MLAs, and Madeline took very good notes for me. So I'm going to be able to summarize some of the content for that for them all. And we'll share the Brad Brain report from 2 years ago, because it would have only be John Rustat and Lauren Dirksen that have seen that document previously.
I did forget, sorry, Presbyterian, I did forget that on my list that I was there with you. And the secretary you're referring to is our longest serving support staff member.
She started at 15.
Yeah.
As well.
Okay.
So,
They didn't go to grade 12 then. She explained that they didn't go to grade 12, so they could do like a work experience to finish.
was pretty amazing. All right. So moving on to item number 5 in our agenda, minutes of the regular board meeting of January the 20th, which is page 6 to 13 in the package. And we'll give you a minute to take a look at it. Could I please have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Bill, seconded by Ida. Any errors or omissions? Calling the question then, all in favor? So business arising, Stephen, any follow-up? I'm putting you on the spot related to the UBC Oral Health Initiative. Have you had that meeting yet?
No, but I just emailed Ms. Golovich to ask for any updates.
Okay,
I haven't heard back since I reached out following that.
okay.
So I'm not getting any answers right now.
Okay, that's fine. It's just the only thing that kind of jumped out.
No.
Anything else anybody's on from just business arising? All right. Calling the question then, all in favor? Announcements and reminders. So a few dates to add, if acceptable. March 1st, the band fundraiser, and I forwarded the information to you about that. And we are celebrating 2 students in middle school who have been named to the National Honors Band. I'm not sure where it's performing, but in the messaging that I got, it's quite unusual for students of that age to be part of the National Honor Band. And one of the young ladies is playing flute, and apparently flute, there must be a lot that play flute out there because it's a very competitive instrument to make them for. So congratulations to those. We also can add April 1st Regional Science Fair in there. 3rd? Okay. See, my ears are not working very well. April 3rd Regional Science Fair. April 28th, Upper Pine visit. Stephen sent the information out about that being rescheduled. And as well, we have rescheduling of the April 17th IEC meeting between the board and the Indigenous Education Council. So those are all additions to our announcements and reminders. Welcome, Nicole. I'll give you a couple minutes to settle and then come back to celebrate our engagements. You want the speakers? Oh, no. Oh, no, I missed 6.0. Okay, we'll back up. I was so excited about announcements and reminders. Go back to 6.0, please. Approval of the excerpts of the in-camera board meeting of December the 16th, which is page 14 in your package. Short and sweet. Thank you for keeping me on track, Angela. Can I please get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Ida, seconded by Madeline. Calling the question, all in favor? All right, so we've done number 7. We're ahead of ourselves. Moving on to item number 8, in staff report.
On the last one, I think deal with, either engagement or now or later.
Sure.
Up to you.
I'm somewhat prepared. I would say I attended a Hudson's Hope PAC meeting, and I was also present at a Hudson's Hope, the student council hosted trivia night as part of the community's Winterfest. So I was the adult on duty during the trivia night. And that's what it.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Number 1 under HR, of course, our activity reports. Under education is my online report. A reminder to everyone, of course, to register for kindergarten. We have sort of a deadline in terms of most of our families to register by May 1st. Under student learning and intellectual development, been working with the trustees, senior staff, and then working our way through the system just on in terms of some of the learning evidence that has come over the past 6 months in terms of our achievement last year. And so for the public, just a couple of snapshots here in terms of our grad rate for different cohorts. Similarly, under student learning, just an example of some of the questions and data related to the student learning survey. So that's kind of student voice in terms of their school experience, but also in some cases, some of the things outside of school. Really excited to celebrate Black History Month, and I'll be bringing forward to the trustees next month some examples of student work from around classrooms in the district. And I'm also happy to share here in collaboration with our 2 union partners, sending out a statement around anti-racism in conjunction with Black History Month, and that's been well received around the district. One of our principals has done a great amount of research on resources on anti-racism, and so there's a slide deck here which is quite interactive, and so you can go to it, you can click on books, you can get resources for all kinds of different age levels and groups. So it's video, it's very helpful. Under the strategic plan of student learning and career and skill development, Right up here for Mr. Campbell around the Mind Over Metal camp. That's actually a picture I took of two of our female students in the camp. And in fact, industry has been very supportive here. They're offering another one just prior to spring break. And so we're actually going to see two welding camps here for our middle-aged middle school students. So that's very exciting. With an emphasis and of course an opportunity for our Indigenous students as well. I've attached an information piece, a newsletter around Cameron Lake, but I did want to show the beautiful new facility over top of the fire pit, which is now big enough to accommodate and cover several picnic tables. And so that has also been upgraded. And this is a significant upgrade to the outdoor experience at Camp Cameron. So we're very grateful to Tourmaline for significantly supporting the financial cost of that. Under people development, just as always, some professional development for our teachers on autism spectrum disorder. Those courses will continue to be offered throughout the year. And we don't always see this. It's a workshop offered for elementary music teachers. And so we have our band crew who also provides Pro D on various days throughout the year. And similarly, our administrators, the most of them, if they weren't already trained, got some training on what's called Crisis Prevention Institute. And it's essentially de-escalation strategies around behavior in the classroom. And so large group of administrators took part in that on January 31st. On January 16th, we had trustee representation as well as senior staff and families at the Indigenous Education Center to kind of celebrate the publishing of the Equity Scan report and action plan. And so I want to thank Helen for being there. And we had a couple of families there to wind that up. Finally, under Take 3, Taylor's pretty lucky. Right next door, they have the grades 4 to 6 participate in free curling lessons. So they had some fun with that. And there's pictures for you to enjoy there. And really neat activity at North Peace Secondary School. They call a blind date with a book. So you can come and get a wrapped up book there on a particular topic. So you can read more about that there. And finally, just a little story about a farm bot in terms of a grade 12 science class. And they're setting up some interesting experiments there. So lots to read about there. Item number 2 is an attachment, and it's the trustees also have this from before. It's a ministry feedback on our framework for enhancing student learning report that the board approved and submitted last fall. And it's a fairly high level report on the various areas of PESL. Overall, very positive and constructive feedback from the ministry team. One thing they pointed out was a strong alignment and cycles for improvement that were present in the district, and they had other kind of overarching suggestions as well. Number 3 is the Cameron Lake newsletter. Numbers 4 and 5 I would ask to be broken out for approval on our out of district field trips and our community coaches. So that's my report.
You will hold those motions, so vote the motion. And if you get a mover and a seconder, moved by Bill, seconded by Madeline. Discussion. So let's go through. We'll start with your report on page 15 related to HR. I'm waiting. If you don't ask it, I will. The 33 under personnel assignments, is that starting to reflect hiring for September?
It sure is, and I'll actually be able to bring back to the board. I asked our HR manager for a report on the retention numbers, and so I'll be able to bring that back to you. But we're still in the midst of it right now. That number you see there is the vast majority are those teachers re-upping or reapplying to their positions that they had this past year.
Still April for next year.
Yeah.
Okay, that's to be.
Yeah, many.
What I was really excited about in this top slide for the 6-year completion rate.
Yeah.
And I did mention this in my thank you to Jared, that yellow represents ELL. And we've never really had report on ELL data before that's been pulled out like that. And if you recall, if there was a motion that came out at AGM about them adding ELL as one of the groups that we should be paying attention to when we're looking at their overall results. And it was just nice to see that there. It gives us some information. And I have to say, the other thing I said to Jared, these constructs, the way he's pulled all of those questions together and put the constructs together with the information from the student learning survey gives a visual understanding of what's going on that you get far more out of than just here's the question, here's the percentage of students that responded, here's the difference in response from the previous year. So that was a really good piece of data.
So I'll just add to that. I went home after the dance and started flipping through because we had broken into different groups, and I really want to say thanks to whoever put these flyers together because they are so easy to read. They're great. Like I thought they were one of the better ones I've ever seen over the years. So whoever put these all together, thanks.
Well, Leah certainly put the binders physically together, but I've been working on and talking with Helen about what pieces should be in there. So
Yeah, no, it was great.
This here, I went over to the high school, the Wednesday before we went to Prince George.
Yeah.
They were very much engaged.
Yeah.
They, that my understanding, what I've seen is they did a couple of projects a day. And the day I was there, I think they did 3 projects. And they were very engaged in them. It was really nice to see.
Yeah, they're straight to hands-on here.
Yeah, it's very hands-on.
It's very experiential.
My
I don't know
question-
if I missed the Black History Month one, but I'd like to.
Okay, we can go back.
Sorry
Reflection.
about that. I was just wondering, if it's something maybe this is something to discuss in the later meeting, but with the amount of racism and things going around in the last couple of days, I'm wondering, Stephen, I appreciated your letter being written, but if there's one that maybe we should consider writing as a board, denouncing racism. I think it's something that we should definitely consider, both in our school and reiterating it to the public in general, as well as to students and teachers.
Yeah, it was something we discussed last meeting. So,
Oh, okay, perfect.
so with the Cameron Lake Center, my question, this is really, really exciting and Tourmaline put all that money into it. We have corporate sponsors for all kinds of things in the district. Is there any way of us putting together some recognition or some thank yous? Especially when you look at a project of the magnitude of rebuilding that outdoor ed center. I know that the Cameron Lake staff will have thanked,
Yeah.
but when we look at concept of the strategic plan and engagement, one of the things in there was really acknowledging the community support that we have. And I think we do, but I don't know if we do it in a really formal way.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. It's there are dozens and dozens of contributions and in-kind things that are happening all the time. So I'm just not sure how we gather on. What I can say is that at the school level or the departmental level, there are absolutely those thank yous and acknowledgements going back out. But I'm sure Tourmaline would love to get an acknowledgement.
I'm not saying just Tourmaline, but
Yeah.
for Cameron Lake, the signage there.
Yeah.
It's, if you don't know it's there,
Yeah.
you don't know it's there. Like there's no, school district 60 facility down this road or something.
That's intentional.
Yes.
Yeah. It's intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a security issue.
I think that that's a good idea to do something like that, but I think we need to brainstorm about, so
I
I
do
think we
too.
should bring it to a committee meeting
Yeah.
and see what we can do for
So-
all of the, yeah.
That would be some business, and my ask of Angela is most of the money that involves donations, because you can do charitable receipts, goes through you. And it would all go into one account.
It goes into different accounts.
Okay.
I was hoping,
Depending
you know,
if it's a fund state, yes, if it's, it would go into like a special purpose fund if it was for a specific cause, so it wouldn't go into the general stream of revenue, because it's generally targeted at something we don't just get.
Well, what I was thinking was that might be an easy way to have an idea that didn't add to somebody's workload.
We do track all donations through, and we have to submit it at year end, so we have them, we know exactly what's been donated, even through the schools, or directly, like into their principal's trust and directly to the district, so we do have a list of the donations of all kinds.
Trying to think easy, Stephen.
Yeah, there'd be nothing easy about trying to gather all of the contributions though, beyond financial.
And then where do we set the bar?
Would just a social media post suffice? Just thank you to Tourmaline?
So maybe like an annual thing, like I know, for example, for Project Heavy Duty, the board is made up and it's left up over a period of time, it's put in the newspaper and that kind of thing. But, yeah, it's certainly, there were some things that we are not able to capture, that are not getting recognized, that would be nice to recognize.
Nicole?
I'm just wondering, with this in particular one, how did this donation come to be? Like, are people calling you guys and saying, what do you need? And then that's what's happening? Or
Both.
in this case, was Lorraine out advocating for sponsors, or how did this come to be?
Yeah, Loren was in contact with them regardless, but Tourmaline has also reached out to us and does every year and wants to support very specific things like Project Heavy Duty. And in this case, I said, guess what? We also have a real need at Camp Cameron, and it aligned with what they were trying to do that year. So they generally reach out, but in some cases, they go directly to someone like Jeff Mayer for the Project Heavy Duty, or go directly to Angela. It just depends.
So in the past, I think we've made social media posts with like, when CNRL gives us the money, the check, we have a picture. Is that us that posted it, or was it CNRL that posted it? I've definitely seen it on social media.
Both.
Okay.
And I'm just thinking that it's something that, in terms of community engagement, we haven't really talked about, so we'll put it on a committee of the whole discussion point.
Yeah.
Process, because that showing appreciation is one of those things that can,
And I think-
time again to support us.
Yeah,
so.
and I think we should talk about it, like, if there's a policy and we did the same thing for everyone, then it's just done. You know what I like, if you send a pic, if you do a social media post with CNRL, then you gotta do it for the next people, or. Yeah, because people, they do donate and they do want the recognition, right?
Yeah, and just so the board knows, any of the major companies that contribute, they actually have requirements as part of that donation.
Okay.
I have to sort of spell out how it will be recognized.
Okay.
And that includes the picture, the publicity, putting it on our social media. So that's not for everybody in the
Okay.
community. But I would say that, hey, Angela, the vast majority of our industry partners, they have a plan that we need to follow.
So they told us what they want,
And we're
which makes it
taking
easier.
pictures.
It does.
Okay, perfect.
But that doesn't mean that doesn't, I think we're speaking to recognition of smaller amounts, and those can't all go on a social media post. So I agree with the concept of brainstorming and coming up with just a forward, because we do get, there is big dollars rolling in, but there's also these great in-kind situations that happen that we don't hear about, and it just depends on to what level we want to go to.
And I think about the track effort goes and how important that recognition sign is to the people that work on that. So I just think it's something we don't want to lose sight of.
for Cameron Lake, I did look at their availability calendar. Some months are booked out, and if you want it in the summer, you better get your name in now, because they're already booked out.
May and June are really busy for school.
Yeah, but even like I said, in July,
And the
July,
weekends.
August, even non-school have their weekends booked out.
I liked it that year we went out there.
Yeah.
You brought your own trailer and there was a mouse, so that was upsetting for me, but I don't think we told people the second one. But that was still fun. We should do that again. I know you just had to advance, so you don't want to talk about it, but that was good.
This is really cool.
Yeah.
Was the farm bought for inside or outside?
Can't do it outside, like, I don't know.
I haven't,
By the way, we had the greenhouse on top of the high school there.
I was just gonna ask if it's still there.
I believe, there were issues around leakage, and so that was not actually able to be used. In fact, very soon after it was built.
All right,
Thank you.
and Thomas has had to leave us. We're still at forum, so we're all fine. Right. So calling the question on those aspects, then we'll go to the individual motions.
And then there was if there were any questions, the numbers 2 and 3.
Okay,
And
yeah,
keep back.
great. We had Cameron Lake in there.
Sorry,
so
yeah, we
did
kind of
him.
mixed it up there.
So the ministry feedback on framework is in your binders, and in some of the stuff I did on Friday, I referenced it. And when I look at that 2-3 years ago, when I did the work around Maple Ridge, when we were looking at a different format for framework, you can really see the themes coming through and how they're doing, but I think that report out that we got is better than some of our previous ones in terms of giving guidance, so that was exciting to see.
So my question just when as I read through it, is when I think it's pretty much under every header, there's a considerations, what they would like to see maybe in future reports.
Yeah.
Does that make it, is that helpful or is that just extra going more in depth?
I'd say it's helpful on an overarching level, just, because they can only comment on the document that they've received, which doesn't always represent everything that's going on in the district. That's the hard part. But for example, last time when they really, there was this theme emerging about what are you doing around students in care, for example. We did a better job this time around of having that in the report. And so that was helpful for us to hear that at that point.
So just kind of the themes that overall.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So this one here, one of the themes that came out is they're saying, make sure you continue to engage with your stakeholders, for example, because they said that was done very well through the board strategic plan, but you got to keep doing it. But overall, there was also some very positive stuff around alignment and systems for continuous improvement.
Calling the question on those aspects of the report, and all in favor? Out of district field trips, could I please have someone make that motion that the board approve the attached out of district field trips as presented? Moved by Bill, seconded by Madeline. And community coaches. And please have a motion that the Board of Education approve the attached community coaches as presented. Moved by Nicole, seconded by Ida. All in favor? See some of the same names. They give and give and give to. That's for the city.
Thank you.
Moving on now to our Secretary Treasurer's report.
We're gonna start with the finance update to January 31st, 2025. And then we'll go over, the SD60 City of Fort St. John, memorandum of understanding regarding the Robert Montgomery Gym. The enrollment projections for the 25-26 school year that were submitted on Friday. An update to the support staff HR side, and then trustee remuneration.
Please get a mover and a seconder for Angela's report, and then we will take a look at it item by item. Moved by Madeline, seconded by Bill. Discussion. All right, let's start with the finance.
So the Ministry of Education grant is a bit lower than anticipated for this time of year, but that has to do with the timing. We just got the announcement and new a release of the revenue at the end of January. So as the year goes on, we'll catch up. And the Alberta student revenue came in, so that was appreciated. Move on to the next one.
I was gonna say, given the illness and the fact that our TTOC costs are lower than expected, that was kind of surprising.
Knock on wood, Helen, knock on wood.
We'll take it. I thought the word not gone.
The December, and just to take a little wind out of the sails, December and January did have a week or two less, so they should come up.
I got excited.
I know, I can leave you with it if you'd like, for full transparency.
Right. Let's take a look at the MOU between School District 16 and City of Fort St. John.
Oh, I was a bit late. I wasn't gonna do an attachment, and then I did, just because I realized if I tried to speak to it, this sheet would come in useful. So, before Montgomery opened, there was, the city contributed 2.5 million to make the gym larger than a regular elementary school gym, so that it can be used by the community. The original MOU estimated 1,800 hours per year. You can see the usage down below in the first column there. We haven't achieved anywhere near 1,800. So from meeting with the city, they've asked us if we would entertain, which it's really not an issue for us, because we open our gyms to the community user groups anyway, but they're trying to recoup the 2.5 million through community usage. So that would mean we would drop the hours of use to 1,350, starting in the 2024-25 school year, and hopefully the usage will meet that target. And then we will evaluate as probably in another 5 years to see if all of a sudden we've now leapt to 1,800. We'll have to come back to the board table and see if there's an appetite for redoing the MOU. But so this would extend the MOU to 2040, to the 2039-2040 school year. And the costing has remained the same at the beginning of the MOU. So there's no adjustment there, but So this is coming to our table to see if there's an appetite, and then it will go to the city of Fort St. John, and then there'll be another MOU created there.
So I just don't, how does this recover their cost?
I'll recover, I guess, they put in 2.5 and they're just wanting to make sure that we're giving $2.5 million worth of community usage out there. So we're not paying them, they're just kind of, here's 2.5 million now, let's see 2.5 million in use.
And we don't charge the user group.
No, no.
So it was based on a formula agreed to at the time. It was $75 per hour. We simply wanted to be able to show that there was community use of the gym because they put money in. The anticipated number of hours per year that they thought or projected would be used was lower than they thought. And I think the suggestion from staff is to be good neighbors on this and just simply extend the life of the MOU, because guess what? The board's gonna let the city and the community use its gyms no matter what.
And it's not the
So
city
this is
using
about
the-
them and their
About them
tax,
validating and,
to the taxpayers, the $2.5
That's
million
right.
investment.
well, yeah, and it's showing that it's being used well.
Okay.
Yeah. And it
But
is
it's
being
no
used
money.
well.
It's just, they're just now gonna be able to extend it in their budget as like a cost incurred, but for the benefit of up to
Well, I think-
2040 now.
Yeah, they've already budgeted. It's really just the MOU, just showing that the community groups are using it after they've invested. Like, it's a good
Due
partnership.
diligence on their
Yeah.
part around the number of hours
And the
has no impact on us as a district.
Right, that's what
Except
I,
for there was a larger gym
I
that
was
the
just gonna
school and different events can take, as well as the community groups get to use it. And it is well used, like,
Yeah.
the last year it was 1,500, so it's finally those COVID years kind of caused a decrease, but
I think it was a good reminder to say, yes, the size, it did go,
very large.
because the ministry would not have funded that size of gym,
No,
because all gyms are open to community use, but.
all gyms are.
Yeah.
But this one can run two different
Oh, I
programs
know,
at the same
it's a
time.
big-
Yeah, it's a great program. Or great.
I hate to say I agree with everything Stephen just said there.
Oh, no.
Like, it hurts to say,
Documented.
but the other thing I mean, we can't change it, and I'm just curious kind of thing. The cost per hour,
Yep.
in my opinion, is like really low. For what,
Yeah,
for the size of something not much more, not twice as big as this room, the city charges the same price per hour for the dance studio down at the Pomeroy.
yeah, the original MOU had the $75 at the onset. And again, it's not really something that I don't feel we need to negotiate, because we're going to be doing it regardless of if we
Yes.
had an MOU in place or not. We're just
Other
schools
other
working with
people,
community groups.
like that's so community gym people pay nothing.
Yeah.
They don't
And-
pay
and
nothing.
And they don't
Nobody's
pay
paying
anything.
anything
Nobody's
from
paying
ours.
anything.
Right, so then the $75 is just kind of a token amount that they can then put to their,
It was a formula
Yeah.
at the time
Right.
that the previous secretary treasurer agreed or came up with the city to
Right.
come up with some kind of
Yeah.
formula to show on paper the investment over time.
yeah, okay.
I hear what you're saying.
It's just accountability for the city and for us, and for like future reference for anyone that's on this board. So, yeah, I agree.
I mean, the gym was extended in Hudson Hope too, and the council there put money into that, but we didn't do an MOU at the time.
Just something we can use for our next build.
Yeah.
That we can say, hey, you want to pitch some in?
And like I said, it's accountability for us and them, so, for the taxpayers.
The board needs to sign off on it unless I'm mistaken there.
But we do need to sign off on it. That's why I come up.
So could I please have someone make a motion that we accept the MOU related to Margaret Ma Murray as presented? Moved by Ida, seconded by Bill. Calling the question, all in favor? Doesn't mean you're off the hook on the rest of your report, though.
That's all right.
Okay. Enrollment projection.
So we have submitted our enrollment for 2025, 26, and they asked for a 3-year enrollment, but the revenue, not revenue, but the fees we will be getting are based on the 25, 26 that we submitted. So we projected flat enrollment. Now that is based on the roll up for as the grades move forward, paying registrations, and then the grade 12s leaving the district. So we did the roll up, and we also have a projection company named PSTGI, and their numbers were very similar to that roll up, and it was about 20 FTE difference. So we just stayed with what we have, and if we get 20 additional FTE, we'll be in a surprise, but better to be safe in the, even if it's 20 up or down. So we went with flat, and then as you can see, as we move forward into the 26, 27, 27, 28 year, the ministry is predicting about a 50 FTE decline, and then between 26 and 25 from the first year to the second year, and then from the second to the third, we're seeing a couple hundred kids decline. Our projections and roll up, we did the work. We're not seeing quite the decline, but we are anticipating a decline.
Basically, if you look at rural enrollment across the province, there's very few districts that the ministry is not predicting a decline for the next 10 years.
So we weren't quite as robust in our decline, but we definitely captured it. The online learning, we're seeing about 160 in the past couple of years, so we stayed with that projection. Level 1, inclusive education, no change anticipated. Level 2, we are anticipating an increase, and again, this is just a projection of roughly 25 per year, and the ministry is projecting quite a bit higher, but we'll get there when we get there. Level 3, we're seeing a decline. So we went with just 100. This year we had 115, and we did 100 across the board. ELL 700, pretty steady at that number with roll-ups and people leaving, students leaving. Indigenous education, we went up roughly 15. Now, for ELL and Indigenous education, those are very targeted funds. So whatever we put in, we would expense in the budget. So those,
No impact to the overall budget.
yeah, we'll adjust accordingly as the numbers come in. It's the online learning that we've tended to be pretty conservative with the last 2 years, but we are seeing pretty steady numbers. You can see that there's 90 for the online learning, the February count, 90. We put in 120. This year, I think we're anticipating to come in at roughly 150. So still a little bit of a conservative approach because you just never know. So, and then 110 for the May count. And in 2022-23, we came in at 140. So the online is difficult to predict, but we're definitely not being as conservative as we have been, as we were last year for that. So yes.
So just a overarching broad question, I guess, about this is why is the population in BC is supposed to go up by, is it 200,000 in the next? So they just decided people are not going to go to the They're just moving to
When they
the
look
city?
at where it's distributed
Mhm.
and it's on the ministry, it's part of the ministry data, it's urban. And you look at a lot of the families that came in that provided the bump that they talked about, very few ended up in what they would consider rural or remote districts.
So back to Nicole's question, I mean, they're giving you these numbers. Do they provide any feedback as to how, I mean, there's, in the end, there's a 204 decline. And it's quite significantly different from what you guys think, so.
If I may, Helen.
Yeah.
To Angela's point, the focus really just needs to be on this next year's projection. Because these are the same ministry this is the same ministry formula that actually 5 years ago had us at about 3,000 more students by this time. And so the formulas that they use in aspects of it apply across all 60 districts in terms of their projections. So we have to be mindful of them, but we have to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt in terms of they're not just looking at SD16 with these patterns and trends.
If you look at the interim rural and remote network report, there's some charts in there that go district by district and look at what the decrease was predicted for 10 years out by the ministry last year.
Again, this is just our estimate, based on what we know and what, we did just, we spoke to all the departments and,
I have
Numbers pretty solid.
I have to say, I trust you guys' number a little bit more than the broad.
Well, certainly 2 years up, we were quite surprised and we'll have to cross that bridge each year, but that was a shock to us as well.
And conservative is always good. Better to have a surprise increase than the other way in September. HR report, any questions here? No retirements yet. Trustee remuneration review.
so this is, in accordance with policy 1008. We would, trustee remuneration,
Remuneration, it's so, it's a terrible word.
remuneration, sorry. Reviews the trust, can I just say salaries moving forward, the trust
Honorary employees,
honor,
we're not salaried.
remuneration. Oh.
Remuneration.
Anyway.
Honorariums
We
easier.
view the amounts paid to trustees on an annual basis effective January 1st. The amounts paid reflect the BC Consumer Price Index less 1.0. So this year, the Consumer Price Index was 2.6% for all goods. So the increase will be 1.6% effective January 1st. And I'm glad everyone had a good time with that.
Is the CPI the same as the COLA or no? Like the consumer price index is not the same as the cost of living, like
Allowance, it's for two
not
different
allowance,
places.
no, but like some places base their salaries on like
Salary
the
increase
cost.
on the COLA.
Yeah, they
Cost
do,
of
right?
living allowance, yeah.
Okay. I never knew what we used.
I will practice that word for next year.
It's like numbers, numeration, numeracy.
Okay. thank
All
you.
right.
Oh, no, it's not.
No,
It's
it's
the
not.
opposite.
That's what I'm
It's the
saying.
opposite.
No,
You are.
Right.
All right, let's call the question. All in favor of accepting Angela's report?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Angela is off the hook for the moment. Moving on to item number 9 on our agenda. No, I just missed the whole page again, didn't I?
No, you're still.
I'm good. Okay, I'm on track. Hallelujah. Reports of the regular committee of the whole meeting of January the 13th, which is pages 17 and 18 in your package. Give me a second to look at those. All right, could I please get a mover and a seconder for those minutes? Moved by Ida, seconded by Madeline. Any errors or omissions? No, we just had to change our plan up because of weather. Calling the question then, all in favor? Business arising, there was the access to reports for the safety committee members.
Yeah, everyone, and that's all the people on the committee.
Except the trustees. That's fine. I just need it clarified so I know where to go to find them. Right. Policy committee. We're about to look at a number of policies that were put out for notice of motion. Was there any public feedback on any of them? No? All right. Could I please get a seconder to the motion that the Board of Education adopt the revised policy 4006, support staff annual vacation? Seconded by Madeline. Calling the question. All in favor? Adopted. Could I please get a seconder to the motion that the Board of Education adopt the revised policy 5006, health and safety? Ida. See Campbell seconds. Calling the question, all in favor? Could I please get someone to second the motion that the Board of Education adopt the revised policy 5011, emergency situations on-site vehicle? Trustee Snow. Calling the question, all in favor? Could I please have someone make a motion that the Board of Education delete policy 5013, backup warning devices for district vehicles? Trustee Snow. Calling the question, all in favor? Great. Moving on to other reports, we'll start with Trustee Gillett, BCSTA Provincial Council.
So there is it's online now what it's going to be, and David as alternate is actually attending on February 22nd virtually because I have a child's skating competition that I'll be attending. So me and David have communicated, and so he's went on the portal because it all came available February 6th. There are no motions this time that they'll be discussing. So David, I don't know if you talk to us about, I think, until after.
Right, and I asked for 2 additional items under BCSTA. We had an invitation from the BCSTA to us as a board. The theme for the AGM is celebrating public education. And what they're looking to do is the format has changed, and I believe registration starts on Thursday for the AGM. There will be 4 concurrent sessions, and the idea is that trustees will be able to see other trustees in action in terms of commenting on things that are going on in their district and what their practices are. And their hope is in that to have representation from all branches and all different types of district, urban, rural, small, medium. The areas that they're looking to have covered in concurrent sessions are communication advocacy is one, strategies that engage communities and stakeholders, progress in implementation of Bill 40, student success, data and evidence info that guides governance and decision-making. And if your board chooses to apply, then your trustees and your district staff that are involved in that presentation would be doing a 20-minute presentation as part of every single concurrent session. I don't know what the appetite is. I'm bringing the opportunity forward. The other thing that they sent out and asked about is they have put $4,000 aside to support students coming to perform. It could be a reading, it could be music, it could be singing. And it was quite interesting because a list of things that if you fill out the application and choose to send a student that you must comply with was so much the conversation and feedback that we gave around student delegates. So if you do propose sending some students, you have the responsibility for them and must have a chaperone with them. And there's a lot of different criteria. I wasn't jumping. I don't know if we'll get shoulder tapped, but there's always that powerful word. All right, BCPC, Trustee Lehman.
Well, I did do the report out of the committee of the whole for the AGM. Just as a reminder, Linda Martins is our rep for NIB, which is a one-year term.
Former Peace River North trustee. And Board Pro D, well, you have the binder. You had the day. We have the follow-up. I sort of felt quite sorry. It was like drinking from a fire hose as I sent between Stephen and I, and we sent all that stuff out on Friday. But I want to thank you. There was some really good work done there. There will be follow-up. Yes.
Also, we can work on scheduling some Pro D for trustees as requested around AI and the Erase Bullying website. So we'll set that up with the board chair on some possibilities.
And the other thing is, if you have specific questions related to the use of your computer or things that are happening, we can ask for support around those as well. Because my computer's still got stuff.
So having not been at the advance, but you had asked everybody for feedback on the student voice. Are you able to, because I wasn't there and I'm sure there's going to be some follow-up and some information given to me about what the conversation was, but I've seen Thomas that wrote in, Ida and I, did everybody else write in or was it just verbal?
No,
Okay,
everybody
Cheryl.
wrote in. I had done so much research at that point, I didn't know what my own opinion was, so I didn't. I think it would be fair to say, and you guys can help me as you go through the notes, where we got to on Friday was student voice has an element of choice and agency and leadership to it. And if you look at the information that's coming back to us from our schools, they're using the term student voice, and it encompasses all of those kinds of things already. And they're doing a lot of collection of student voice. We had a conversation about where and when and how, as trustees, it would be appropriate for us to be seeking student voice. And then by the time we were having that conversation, there was 4 of 7 there. And so we said we needed to discuss further at a further date. I did say I said, send me your definitions of student voice, and I kind of intended to work with them. Your concept of what you sent in about engaging with students' councils and things like that, that fits into our governance strat plan under commitment 1, and is more engagement. It's not necessarily voice.
Well, I guess mostly my question though was, I seen Ida's response, I seen Thomas's, and I know what I wrote. Could you share with me what Madeline, David, and Bill?
Madeline's was part of the chain. David's is right embedded in the PowerPoint. That's the only one. David sent his to me independently. And so I actually shared that one in the PowerPoint.
Okay.
You have a copy of that. I don't know, Bill, if I got anything from you.
Yeah, yours is in the chain.
Yours is
Yeah, that looks as if it's in
Nicole, there's a whole bunch of documents as well
in the binder?
that were part of the background gathering of information on student
Okay.
voice. So the board will continue the conversation. It's just that there's a whole bunch of information to review as part of that as well.
Yeah. I just was looking for, I thought I'd missed some of the other counselors, trustees' reply.
No, and David's is the only one that came just to me, and that's embedded in the PowerPoint. And to honor the fact that we are a corporate board and we all have various points of view, it is something we have to come back to when everybody's had a chance to look at the documents, conversations, and things like that.
Not done.
Number of things not done. All right, Fort St. John and District Chamber of Commerce attachment. And we do have our certificate to acknowledge that we are members for 2025. Attached is correspondence that shows you who is their new executive and what's going on there. And then the ombudsman person, Jay Chop. Stephen had attached his letter last time. That was correspondence, and I received a letter as well, letting us know that they have launched an investigation into the exclusion of students. And it is already generating conversation and controversy, so it's ongoing and out there. And on your behalf, I attended a Good Neighbors meeting last week, and nothing is happening right now in terms of OPS, either inhalation or support of injection, because they don't have access to that building as of the 13th of December. And their timeline perhaps to look at it again, an opening would be October. In the meantime, with the temperatures the way they are, an outside inhalation tent is not feasible. If the weather warms up, they may go back to their plan of an outside inhalation tent at St. Luke's Church, not behind the site where they are. And we did get a monthly visits update, and I just attached that for you. No idea why there was a spike in November, and there did continue to be a decline in November. I will tell you that they remained open there, but never told anybody after they told us they would be closing. So I feel like I gave you information to say that they would be operating out of St. Luke's, and the information at the time was they'd be operating out of St. Luke's. There'd be a WCB review. I went by St. Luke's a few times, noticed no tent and didn't know what was happening. And a number of us actually that were part of the Good Neighbors finally reached out and said, you haven't communicated with us. We don't know what's going on. How can we be a good neighbor? And so that is the communication that I have for you. All right. New business. I don't think we have it. All right. Guarantee update. Donna's not with us. Suki's not with us. District Parent Advisory is not with us. So we Time now for questions from the press and public related to agenda items.
Already answered the question, when we waited a little bit, then it came.
So, could I please have a motion to suspend the regular meeting and move on camera? Moved by Bill, seconded by Madeline. All in favor? Leah, please stop the recording or pause the recording. Start the recording. Could I please have a motion that are in-camera motions be brought forward for implementation? Moved by Bill, seconded by Madeline. All in favor? Carried. Could I get a motion to adjourn now? Moved by Bill, seconded by Nicole. All in favor? Leah, please stop the recording.